Hello everyone. In today's session, we'll be taking a guided walkthrough of domain services in Devum. Let's explore how they work and how you can use them effectively in your applications. Begin by navigating to the Domain Services section from the left panel. Once there, select the Tour feature. This guided tour provides a sequential overview of each component, making it especially helpful for new users. Once you're inside the Domain Services section, you'll notice an Add New option. This is where you can create a new service. Select the type of service you want from the list, enter a name and description, and if needed, assign it to a group, which we'll cover later in the Group section. After filling in the details, go ahead and save the service. Next, let's take a look at the Services section. All the services you've created will be listed here. If you have a long list, you can use the built-in pagination to move through multiple pages with ease. As you can see, we already have a few services created that are listed here. Then we have the Examples section. Here you'll find a basic sample domain service designed to help new users quickly understand how it works. When you click on any example, you can view the complete service, which makes it easier to understand the functions and their behavior in detail. The three dots menu allows you to duplicate the function, making it easy to reuse or modify it without starting from scratch. After that, let's look at the Groups section. Groups allow you to categorize your domain services, making it much easier to organize and manage related services. We can add the group while creating a particular service, as mentioned at the beginning. For example, if you have several services related to employees, you can group them under an HR Employee Dashboard group, as shown here. This structure greatly simplifies both navigation and troubleshooting. You can click the edit icon to open the group, where you can map services to it or even remove services as needed, and finally save it. So whenever you create or name a service, you can choose to assign it to a group that best fits its purpose. Subsequently, let's look at the list of functions. Under the Functions section, you'll find a categorized list of all available functions, organized based on how they're used. For example, collection functions include operations you can perform on lists or collections of objects, such as filtering a list or retrieving the first matching item. We can even search the function of our choice from the search bar. These functions are grouped into categories such as DB, which contains database-related functions, as well as other groups like math, string, and more. This categorization makes it easy to locate the function you need based on its purpose. Next, we have the Services section. All your basic services are listed here, and you can easily reuse them inside other services when needed. Any service you create can be incorporated into another simply by dragging and dropping it into the workspace. When you do this, the logic defined in the basic service becomes part of the current service. This is especially helpful when certain functions or lines of logic are used repeatedly across multiple services. Instead of recreating the same logic each time, you can define it once in a basic service and reuse it wherever required. Finally, under the Services category, click the drop-down to view all available services. Once expanded, you can easily select and use any service as needed. We have the Process section, which contains all workflow-related services. When you create a workflow, you also have the option to generate a domain service specifically for that workflow. All such workflow or process-driven domain services will be listed here. If you've created any process-related services and want to use them, you can simply add them from this section. Once added, you can access the data they provide and perform any required operations based on that data. This makes it easy to connect your workflow logic with the rest of your application. You can also combine multiple process services to build more complex flows. Overall, this section helps you keep all workflow-specific services organized in one place. After that comes the Microservices section. Microservices are usually created by developers, but end users can also create and register their own microservices here. Just like functions, the developers prepares these reusable microservices and makes them available here. Based on your requirements, you can add any of these microservices directly into your service logic. For example, if you need a QR code reader that's used across multiple projects, you can simply drag and drop that microservice into your workflow. This allows you to reuse common backend capabilities without having to recreate or rewrite the underlying logic. You can expand each microservice to view all the functions and operations defined within it. This helps you understand what the microservice offers and how it can support your service logic. Each microservice may contain multiple actions, validations, or utility functions that are packaged together for reuse. Then we have the Utilizer Bridge. This entire block represents the area where you configure the details of your service based on the type you are creating. All service-related information is displayed here, and you can edit, update, or cancel the configurations as needed. Subsequently is the Design mode, which is the default working mode. Here you can visually build your service by dragging and dropping functions into the workspace and configuring their parameter values. This mode makes it easy to structure your logic without writing any code. Alongside Design mode, you also have the Code Editor mode. In this view, the same logic you build visually is displayed in a code format. So if you prefer writing or reviewing code directly rather than using the UI, this mode gives you that flexibility. It also includes editor-specific options, such as increasing or decreasing font size, which are available only in Code Editor mode and not in Design mode. Here, the publish and discard options are available throughout the application and remain accessible no matter which mode you're working in. Next, we have the health check option. Instead of running the full service at runtime, the health check evaluates your logic during the build process. It scans through your entire configuration and identifies issues such as missing parameters, invalid connections, unused functions, or potential logical errors. By catching these problems early, the health check helps you refine your service before actual execution, reducing the chances of runtime failures. Overall, this feature allows you to validate and strengthen your logic before publishing the service. After that is the testing and simulation feature. This allows you to create and run test cases for your domain service. You can add mock data, execute the tests, and review the responses generated. This helps you understand how your service behaves in different scenarios and identify any adjustments needed before moving to production. Once you expand the testing and simulation panel, you can click Start to run your test cases. Here you can input mock data and instantly view the domain service's response based on that data. This makes it easy to identify issues or incorrect outputs without having to switch to the dashboard or run the full service. Following, we have the monitoring logs section. This is where you can view logs generated whenever a service is executed. If you need to debug or verify how your service is performing, you can check all related logs here. Any JSON values or outputs returned during execution will also appear in this console for easy inspection. Let's take an existing example and start a test case. As the test runs, you'll see the function-level logs appear in the monitoring console. In the Debug Logs section, you unlock powerful troubleshooting capabilities. Each log gives you a clear snapshot of what went wrong and exactly where it happened, complete with the function's inputs, outputs, and internal state laid out for easy inspection. Each function also comes with a convenient 3 dots menu, where you can enable debugging simply by selecting Start Debugger. After turning it on, don't forget to publish the service so the debugger settings are fully applied. Once the debugger is active, any function you've marked for debugging will automatically capture detailed execution logs. These logs will then appear neatly organized under the Debug Logs panel. This gives you a clear, step-by-step view of how your function behaves at runtime. Now, just to reiterate this again, the debugger can be activated from the three dots menu next to each function, as demonstrated here. Next, we have the Debug Console, a powerful window into how your service behaves during execution. This console captures and displays all the key value pairs generated while running a test case, giving you complete visibility into the data flowing through your service at every stage. You can see the values passed into functions, the results they produce, and all the contextual information that reveals the internal state of your logic. You can also hover over any function in the workspace to set a debug point. These debug points act like checkpoints, instructing the system to capture and record data precisely at those steps. Once your checkpoints are set, simply run the test case. On executing run, the system will pause at the specific function where you've placed a debug point, allowing you to inspect the values right at that moment. This step-by-step pause and review capability makes debugging far clearer and more intuitive. As the test runs, the debug console neatly displays all logs and captured values for each checkpoint, separated and easy to analyze, helping you troubleshoot smarter and understand your service's behavior in depth. You can even stop the test case, edit and delete the test case as shown. By reviewing the recorded values at each debug point, you can quickly identify where something deviates from the expected behavior and pinpoint the exact function causing the issue. This makes the debug console particularly useful when dealing with complex logic, conditional flows, or multi-step data transformations. You can add multiple debug points across different functions or even different branches of your service to build a complete picture. Overall, the debug console helps you validate, troubleshoot, and fine-tune your service with precision. Thank you.